Hello and welcome again, everyone, to another gathering of the movie theater lobby. My name is Brandon.
And I'm Leia.
And Leia, when we're in the lobby, we like to think we're a place for folks to chat, learn, and share about some cool stuff about a variety of movies.
Yeah, Brandon, I think we've got a criminally underrated movie to get us launched into the December holiday spirit. This one takes place during the holidays, but isn't a holiday movie. So I think it's a good starting place.
Important distinction.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't want to start the whole, is this a Christmas movie debate.
This isn't a Christmas
This is certainly not a Christmas movie. But now you listen up. Take a seat, pal. The kind of tale I'm about to drop on you ain't the sort you hear in the Sunday paper or on your radio. It's got teeth, shadows, and the kind of twists that'll make you question the very floor beneath your feet. So sit tight, clam up, and listen good. There's a story coming your way about two dicks and a dame that get wrapped up in a dirty little caper that left a mark on this city. And we've got a front row seat to the whole damn thing. You might not like what you hear, but trust us, it's the truth. And sometimes that's the hardest pill to swallow.
Brandon, what are you doing?
Leia, you know, I've always wanted to be a noir private detective.
Really?
Right? Yeah, you know, it comes and goes. Maybe I know more about how I've always wanted
so.
to be rather than you. To indulge that forever fantasy, I've ordered this cool detective starter kit.
Oh boy.
It came with a tumbler glass.
Oh boy.
Of course, for the whiskey and bourbon, a pack of cigarettes, which I'm probably just going to toss out, a fedora,
Oh, okay.
trench coat, and this neat noir slang dictionary. It also had a little note that said to keep my peepers peeled for the cat with the wire on the case, whatever that means.
I mean, I'll let you keep the trench coats.
Okay.
It's nice.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
So, I mean, that whole thing, it's fun. I get the appeal.
Right.
But for the sake of our lobby friends, think you could restrain yourself while we talk about our movie this week?
Yeah.
I just don't want to see people get lost or glaze over while you try to compose like every single sentence.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It will take me a while to get through things if I try to figure out how to be an old-timey detective. So yeah, for the good of our friends here, I'll drop the act in just a moment. So sit back, dip your bill, and put on your feed bag here in the picture house as we give you the lay about...
Kiss, kiss, bang, bang.
Clearly I'm interrupting. I feel badly. What are you drinking?
Bad.
Bad. Sorry,
You feel bad.
bad.
Badly is an adverb, so to say you feel badly would be saying that the mechanism which allows you to feel is broken.
Right. Kiss, kiss, bang, bang. A comedy crime, noir-ish detective film released in 2005, right? Let's kind of go over the plot just a little bit to get people into the particulars of where we're at for those who haven't seen the film.
Yes, absolutely.
Which, in this case, seems kind of likely, right?
Yeah.
It's not super well known.
No, it should be, but it's
It
not.
should be. Yeah, absolutely. But for those of you who are not familiar with it, we'll get you caught up. Those of you who are, maybe you'll like the little refresher rundown. Our story is set by opening with a local fair, pie-eating contests, carnival games, and a magician performance. This is where we meet the young Harold the Great.
Harold the Great.
He presents a young girl in a box, who smiles gleefully as another boy stands at her feet and revs up a chainsaw. Not just a fake-ass chainsaw, right?
No.
This is a real freaking
I gotta be
chainsaw.
honest, when I saw that, I was like, if my son had a chainsaw revved up, I would not have the same lackadaisical feeling as his parents did.
Yeah,
But,
it would be a very
I
different
digress.
scenario.
But
The chainsaw gets revved and then proceeds to chew through the wooden box, and the girl within begins to shout and panic and cry. Harold the Great moves quickly to unlock the box, and adults also simultaneously rush in to open the cuboid terror, and it's revealed that the girl was in no true distress as she smirks at the camera and confidently declares,
I'm going to be an actress.
right. Absolutely. After all of that kid funning around, we hear a narrator introducing us to our surroundings and detailing the current life of one Harry Lockhart, played by Robert Downey Jr. The narrator is also Robert Downey Jr., just so I can make that clear. All that happens while we're treated to a delightful holiday music medley. Indulge me here for a moment.
here we go, guys.
Harrator introduces us to
Harry the narrator.
Harry the
just
narrator.
in case you didn't get that. Okay, continue. Harrator.
Harrator
That's me there. My name's Harry Lockhart. I'll be your narrator.
introduces us to his producer, Dabney Shaw, and to a charmingly dashing Perry Van Shrike, a.k.a. Gay
Gay
Perry.
Perry.
Right. Played by Val Kilmer.
The man with him is Perry Van Shrike, a.k.a. Gay Perry. Honest-to-God private eye, consultant film, TV, just incorporated. He's big time. Also, he's gay.
Perry is a private detective / consultant who's hired to give Harry some experience and insight as to how to play a detective for an upcoming role. We then get thrown back into a flashback. Not too long ago, but far enough, where Harry finds himself in a closed toy store with an accomplice as they are mid-burglary when the alarm sounds and the would-be criminals hot-footed away. Unfortunately for them, they are stopped in an alley by a bystander who pulls a gun on them and threatens to call the cops. When suddenly she shoots Harry's criminal partner and Harry legs it once again, only to be cornered by the police. Desperate for a way out, Harry ducks into an open building which just so happens to be holding auditions for a role in a film. The producers mistake Harry for an actor and ask him to read for the part. Coincidentally, the role he reads is as a criminal who had accidentally gotten his partner killed.
I didn't want him to come in and he insisted. I said, you gotta stay at home, but he doesn't listen to me. He's such a stupid son of a bitch.
Weird.
So
uncanny.
Yeah, the universal coordination that has to come together to make that happen is insane, but we'll go with it.
We're in a movie here. It's okay.
All of that to which Harry reacts very emotionally, having just experienced that near exact situation. The producers, the casting directors, all look on with disbelief, believing Harry to be brimming with talent. And on the spot, they hire him and send him to LA to take the role. Finally, back in the present, we're introduced to our last major character, Harmony Lane.
Harmony Faith Lane was your typical LA girl, which means she wasn't from there.
We get another flashback with some insight to Harmony's childhood and how she managed to get to LA, where she is attending the same party as Harry. We travel now through a series of various assaults, some more minor character introductions, much more fast-talking and wisecracking, lessons in grammar, some bar pickup attempts, and a fateful reunion between Harold the Great and the confident, aspiring actress from the opening of the story, Harmony and Harold reunited. After some almost date shenanigans and mix-ups, Perry takes Harry on a private detective stakeout, and the duo witness a murder most foul and inadvertently get mixed up in quite the kooky caper. While our fast-talking, hard-boiled protagonists avoid danger at every turn, elude criminals and scandals, and put the pieces together on a case chock-a-block with twists and turns, we should open our own case file and chat about this movie.
Sounds great.
That's it. That's the true story of what happened last Christmas.
So, Leia, where are we going to go next?
I think we should start talking about maybe some of the main characters in the movie, the casting characters, the director, the writer.
That seems to be our tradition so far, so why break from it, right?
Keep with it. It may change at some point. But
maybe. But for now, this works.
Yeah. Let's start talking about Robert Downey Jr.
All right. Might as well start at the top, yeah?
Yep. We'll start at the top with the actors, and then we'll circle back around to the director.
Yeah. Robert Downey Jr., of course, plays Harry Lockhart. Just a little background on him, not too much. Born to parents who were both in the film industry. He did suffer a major addiction to drugs and alcohol in the mid-90s, early 2000s-ish. And then after rehab, he emerged back on the scene and began to rebuild his career and reputation.
Well, it's part of the reason he got this role in the film is he was actually so much cheaper to hire because he had just gotten out of jail.
That tends to lower the price of an actor, I think.
It does, yeah, unfortunately. But that
all too valuable reputation gets tarnished and... Ugh.
But, I'm bully for Shane Black for seeing his potential.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it did him some justice.
Yeah. I believe Robert Downey Jr. has even said on many occasions that his role in this movie was his ticket to getting the role in Iron Man.
Back on the A-list and getting his role in Iron Man, yeah.
One last thing to mention on Robert Downey Jr.'s background, just in relation to the whole drug and alcohol thing. It turns out his father, Robert Downey Sr.,
major alcoholic.
Yeah, very alcoholic. And he is the one who introduced young Robert Downey Jr. at the age of 8. So
8 years old.
Started back then.
I'm not a marijuana hater by any means, but 8 years old.
That's a little young.
Fudge is wrong with people.
Yeah. Let's give him another 10 years after that.
Yeah,
maybe.
a little bit more
Just
time.
to kind of stay within the law, at least.
Yeah, my God.
Yeah. Robert Downey Jr., of course, his big breakout role came in a film called Less Than Zero, Natural Born Killers, for anyone who may be familiar with that one. Do we need to mention Iron Man?
No, I think everybody, that's the film that made him.
He is now forever affiliated with that role.
Forever.
Of course, Tropic Thunder, and Sherlock Holmes. So quite the resume
Thunder,
there.
Man.
Yeah, what a movie. Oh boy.
He was good in that one.
That one still makes me laugh most of the way through.
To this day, yeah. We'll have to cover that one sometime.
I think so. What else do you got on RDJ?
Ian, his son played young 9-year-old Robert Downey Jr. or Harry.
Oh, really?
In the film.
Wow.
Yeah, his son's name is Indio.
Okay.
And when Indio was 9, he was old. He was at the same age as the character was in the film, so they just made him the 9-year-old Harry.
I'll be damned.
In the film.
Hey, that's some good casting then.
Well, he looks a lot like him when he was younger. Well, that's because that's his son.
That's his kid. All right. Family relations, that tends to hold some similarities in appearance.
I was also reading that, after he was put back on the A-list using this movie, the director's name is Shane Black. He actually involved Shane Black in the Marvel universe by having him direct Iron 3 as a thank you to bringing him back into the scene, which I just think is so sweet.
As you mentioned, Shane Black was the one who gave him the shot in this. So to see him turn around and give Shane Black a big Marvel spot.
Major spot, yeah.
I'd say that's definitely worth your investment if you're involved in film.
Yeah. He's also been known to say that he was disappointed in this movie's earnings, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But he credits this film with the success of him getting Iron Man because Jon Favreau actually saw his performance in this film.
Uh-huh.
And that's how he got the role in Iron Man.
Yeah.
And so even though this film didn't do as well as he, very disappointedly felt it did, it was ultimately what made him who he is today.
Yeah.
Which is just so cool.
When you watch this movie, and especially when you listen to his narration, that is sort of Robert Downey Jr.'s trademark, is kind of fast talk,
and
kind of smooth little wisecrackery, and that's very much what Tony Stark is.
Yeah.
In the MCU, and you can definitely see that here for sure.
That's all I have for Robert Downey Jr. Right. We should move on to Val Kilmer.
Yeah, let's talk about Val. So Val Kilmer, who played Perry Van Shrike, Gay Perry, he got his kind of breakout role in the film Real Genius.
Yeah.
Phenomenal film way back in the day. Absolutely love that one.
Totally out of the box of his normal stuff.
Still a great movie and well worth anyone's time if they want to sit down and watch a movie about...
An old 80s film. 80s, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. About smart people being smart.
Yeah.
Also, of course, Top Gun, probably what he's most
Goose,
well known
right?
for. Goose, yeah.
Is it Goose? No,
yeah.
Iceman.
Oh, Iceman, that's right.
Iceman.
Yeah, Goose was Anthony Edwards, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So Top Gun, got the Iceman in there. Willow.
Oh, yeah. I loved him in Willow.
Oh, such
my
a
gosh.
good
I think that's when I had a
job in that
crush on him, honestly.
He was he is a handsome fella.
Yes.
Definitely back in, what was it, Mad Mardigan? Was that the character's name?
Maybe, yeah. I think it sounds familiar.
And then The Doors.
He did that one really well.
Biopic about The Doors. Yeah, he had sung the songs so well that they didn't actually need to use Jim Morrison's lyrics or anything. They just used his voice to do the singing.
Nuts.
Tombstone.
Oh, yeah. I love Tombstone.
Yeah.
I don't like Westerns very much usually,
I don't
but
either,
that's a good one.
Tombstone is one I can easily sit down and watch.
Yeah.
Batman Forever.
Okay, well, let's not talk about that one.
Moving on. And Heat is the last one I'm going to mention.
Oh, that's a really good one too,
One of the best heist movies of all time.
And
Love
I'm not
it so
actually
much.
a big fan of heist movies either, but this one was really good. Yeah.
So good. And the cast in that one all together.
Yeah.
Whew,
yeah.
Me oh my. And the action sequences, oh baby. There's some good gunfights in that movie.
Yeah.
He was also in the movie Alexander, which he did just before this movie.
Yeah.
So he had to lose 50 pounds that he had gained for Alexander to fit into...
Well, he had to be his Gay Perry. He's got to look good.
Yeah, he had to
be... gotta be fit.
That's right.
Tucked.
Way to go, Val. You sure did.
Yeah.
So, all right, please. What else?
His role as Gay Perry, he wore Louis Vuitton shoes.
Oh, okay.
For forever. And there's some other things he did that he tried to method act his way into being gay.
Right, of course, because that's, yeah.
And I guess his son was totally embarrassed by it at the time, which is ludicrous by today's standards.
Yeah.
But, but whatever.
Yeah,
anyways,
whatever.
He method acted that and his son was not impressed.
I would in general feel weird around most people who stay stuck in character all day.
Right? And it's your own dad?
Yeah. I mean, just obviously I didn't grow up in theater or stage or movies or anything like that. So it would just be an unfamiliar situation to me having not been around all of that. But I suppose if you're an actor, you may get used to that sort of thing.
Maybe. He was long interested in actually doing a comedy film. You had mentioned a lot of films he was in.
Mm-hmm.
Are any of those comedy films?
Real Genius, that's about it.
And that's his breakout role, right? Yeah. He was in an interview mentioning how hard it is to get into comedy. If you haven't been into comedy, it's almost like an unwritten rule that if you haven't done it already, then you can't do it. And it's a catch-22 because if you haven't done it, then you can't do it, but you can't do it if you haven't done it, you
Right.
know? And so when he was offered the opportunity to do this film, he jumped on it right away because he's always wanted to do comedy.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because if you'll remember back a few episodes from here in Dumb and Dumber
oh, right.
with Jeff Daniels
Yes.
getting that role.
He wanted to do comedy too.
Yeah.
And same thing. He was
They're
having a
like,
hard
"No
time
way."
finding a place to put him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think both of them did a bang up
they did
job.
fantastic.
A kiss, kiss, bang, bang
Kiss,
up
kiss,
job.
bang, bang. I like it.
of doing a comedy performance. So
Yeah.
I don't think about that often. You see these actors in these roles for the same kind of roles over and over. You
Yeah,
think that's just
get
what they
that
want to do.
typecast.
But, maybe it's because they just can't get the role that they
Yeah.
want.
Sometimes they just get stuck.
Yeah. He tells people that he is responsible for giving Black the idea for the title Kiss, Kiss, Bang, Bang.
Is that so?
There was a lot of previous titles, and I didn't write them all down. They were at one point going to just call it Bang.
Bang.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah, and Kilmer told Black, like, Kiss, Kiss, Bang, Bang would have more appeal. I couldn't substantiate that claim.
Right.
But that's what the word is that he helped him formulate that. There's other reasons for that title, which we'll go into later.
Yeah.
But
Maybe he did genuinely give the idea for it. Maybe that idea came from the other reasons that may have inspired that idea.
yeah. And one other thing I wanted to mention about Val Kilmer is that I don't know if anybody knows this, but we haven't seen him in a long time.
It's been a bit.
In 2015, he actually underwent chemo and 2 tracheotomies because he ended
man.
up with throat cancer. And so he doesn't look the same as he used to.
No.
He's ended up with the electronic voice box, so he doesn't even have his voice anymore. But on the upside, the technology these days, he's been working with a company, and I cannot remember the name of it, Sonic or something like that.
Sure.
Sonic. But they're working on technology to make his voice box sound like his voice.
Oh, yeah.
By using all of his old movies.
That's certainly one of the benefits to having been in media for so long.
For so long, is your
Yeah.
voice is everywhere, right? He's trying to get his voice back still.
Well, hopefully he can. Because Stephen Hawking, a company had talked to him about possibly trying to find a way to get his voice back. And he said, no, this is my voice.
This is my voice
the
now.
robotic voice that he had. It was very synonymous with him at that point.
Him. Yeah. That's all I have about Val Kilmer.
All right. Well, let's kind of move down the list then, and we'll talk about Michelle Monaghan real quick.
Yeah.
She has a lot fewer accreditations to her listing, but she's pretty well known for being in Mission Impossible 3 and the subsequent films Ghost Protocol and Mission Impossible Fallout. She was in the movie Pixels, if anyone remembers that one.
I remember it.
Yeah,
But I think I've seen it one time.
Yeah, it's same.
That's all I needed.
Didn't go back to that well
That's
many
all I
times.
needed.
Oh, she was in Gone Baby Gone. And recently she was in the third entry in the X series, I guess you would call it, because it was X and then Pearl and then Maxine. So it's sort of a
Sort of horror series?
Ty West, I believe, is the director screenwriter on that one, and it stars Mia Goth in the lead role in each of those 3 films, even though she plays a different character in 2 of them. Michelle Monaghan played kind of a smaller role in that film. Yeah, she popped up in Maxine. Kind of runs out her listing there.
I was reading a little bit about her, and she's a small town girl.
Yeah, just a real interesting little bit about her that I had found. When she was 13, she had won a few blue ribbons for, do you want to take a...
Was it hog wrestling?
Yeah, hog wrestling.
Wrestling.
Yeah, a little wrestler.
So that's interesting because she wasn't a girly girl.
Yeah,
she was wrestling hogs at 13, guys.
Literally getting down into the muck.
Yeah. She graduated from high school in Iowa, so I mean that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. Little Iowa girl.
Yeah. And she studied journalism for 3 years in Chicago.
Oh, right next
Good old
door.
Chicago.
Yeah, Midwest all the way.
Yeah. And then in order to pay for college, she actually went into modeling.
Yeah,
she's a very
I
beautiful
can see
woman.
that. Yeah, she absolutely is.
And then in 1999, she actually quit college and she moved to New York to work as a full-time fashion model.
All right.
And then shortly after that, that's when she made her debut in 2 episodes of a show called Young Americans.
Okay.
And then she also appeared in Law and Order. That was kind of her start into Hollywood.
Yeah, have we done an episode
No.
yet that we haven't
I don't think
mentioned
so.
somebody in Law and Order or NCIS?
Yes. If anybody's interested, this was Law and Order Special Victims Unit from 1999.
Okay.
But there's been so many that I just can't imagine that there is an actor or actress out there that has not been in
Yeah.
one of these.
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten a call already to show up in one of those.
I've been in one.
Yeah, of course. A few even.
Yeah.
Anything else on?
No, that's all I have on her. Yeah. Not as many accolades as Val and Robert, but it's Val and Robert. So
So let's talk about Shane Black next. And then I don't know. Did you write down anything about Brett Halliday?
No, I didn't.
I wrote a few things down just because I wanted a quick mention,
Yeah.
a few little highlights about him as well. But let's talk about Shane Black.
Okay.
Because he's more directly, Brett Halliday is sort of, he's not directly related to the film. He's more of an indirect,
Sure.
but it's worth mentioning. So it's Shane Black. So
Shane Black, yeah. He's most known for writing the Lethal Weapon series
Right.
and The Last Action Hero. So he's more known for being a writer
Yeah.
in the first place.
For a time, he was the highest paid screenwriter in
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Yeah, and then he was an actor before he directed this film. He acted in The Predator.
Yeah.
So he was an actor too.
If you remember in Predator, the first one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, most of the soldiers in that film were large fellas.
Yeah.
He was the small one.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, so Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was his directorial debut.
Yeah, his first director gig. And he did a good job.
When he wrote The Lethal Weapon, did you know he was only 22? He was real young when he sold
Yeah,
that screenplay,
it
which
seems
he made a lot of money on. And then he wanted to get in directing, but nobody wanted to give him a chance. So the guy actually originally purchased the screenplay for Lethal Weapon, was the one who actually gave him his first directorial debut for Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Okay.
So what goes around comes around, guys.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
What goes around comes around.
It took him a few
Don't
years.
burn your bridges.
Yeah, but it seems like it paid off for him. So
Seems to have paid
that's
off in the
cool.
long run. It was a long game.
You mentioned the Lethal Weapon films, which he's known for writing. I think he had partial writing credits on 2, 3, and 4, maybe.
Yeah.
But he also wrote The Monster Squad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Of course, Last Action Hero, which you mentioned.
I
He
love
did the
that movie.
screenplay on
Yeah.
that one. Iron Man 3.
Yep.
Of course, you mentioned that just previous.
He directed Iron Man 3.
But wrote and directed.
Oh, did he
Yep.
write it too?
Yeah, he did
Oh,
too. Yeah,
wow.
pretty crazy, huh?
Multifaceted. That
Yeah.
man.
And then in 2018, not the Predator movie that he acted in, but in 2018, he wrote and directed The Predator.
That comes around too.
2018.
Look at that.
Yeah. I will fully admit that was probably my least favorite of all Predator movies.
Well,
But,
probably had a different feel than the other Predator.
it definitely did. It definitely way did. All right. Anything else you got on Shane Black?
Yeah. So did you know that writers have trademarks? Like,
Yeah, most
all
of them
writers
do.
have, like, a
Tarantino,
trademark.
of course. You know,
what's
look
his
at
trademark?
Boy.
He's got
He's
lots
got so
of,
many of them.
doesn't he?
Yeah. I don't know if we should really even bother going down that
Squelchy
list.
sounds. That's a big one.
Yeah, he
Ugh.
likes those kind of fast talking monologues and stuff like that. Yeah.
Smart writing. His writer's trademark is the disarmed gunman.
Okay.
So there's a scene in the movie where a goon pulls a gun on Gay Perry, and
Sure.
Gay Perry has a dialogue and talks about,
Well, in reality, the pros like about 5 feet of separation. Yeah. That's so the schmuck doesn't take the gun back and make it eat it.
has a scene
somebody gets disarmed.
where somebody gets disarmed. I'm pretty sure it's in Lethal Weapon and A Last Action Hero, and that's his trademark.
Yeah.
So
All
if
right.
you're ever watching any of his movies, look for his trademark.
Yeah, look for his little disarming action sequence.
Yeah. And I was telling you that Val Kilmer came up with the title Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah.
He actually said that he decided to call it Kiss Kiss Bang Bang because he felt it was and this is in quotes, a blunt and austere title. And he described how the plot was like half romantic comedy and half murder mystery. So he thought that Kiss Kiss Bang Bang
Seemed to fit
sounded
nicely.
half romantic comedy, half murder mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so it all kind of makes sense, the title.
yeah, it's funny you mentioned the half romantic, half actiony thing because when he wrote the initial script for this movie, it had nothing to do with crime. It had nothing to do with noir detective. It was strictly a romance between two young kids in LA. After a few drafts, he had received some feedback on it and
From writer-director James Brooks, I think was.
oh, is that okay?
Yeah,
Thank
James
you,
L.
thank you.
Brooks,
Because
yeah.
I'd forgotten who had said that.
Mhm.
But he had been told that his scripts were losing focus, and this led him to, of course, punch it up with some action and murder.
He was actually told by Brooks to imagine Jack Nicholson from As Good as It Gets playing Nicholson's role in Chinatown.
Wow, that's
Right? I had to think about that
Yeah.
really long and hard.
that's getting real meta there.
It was getting really meta, yes. But he told him to think about that. So then that's when Black decided to mix it all up and throw in a little bit of murder.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So it was
Interesting.
a risk that he decided to take, but I think the risk paid off.
Yeah, I think so too. The other risk that he had taken with the script is that he wrote the character of Gay Perry because he said he'd never seen the gay guy who knocks down the door, shoots everyone, and bails your ass out.
Yeah.
So he wanted to kind of put that character in the forefront of everyone's minds.
Yeah.
And
he did play a badass.
Yeah, he did.
Total badass.
Gay Perry was awesome.
Yeah.
He's probably, honestly, he probably is my favorite character in the movie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's the greatest.
Yeah.
Anything else on Shane Black?
No, I don't have anything else.
All right. Well, I'm going to give just a real quick rundown, a reference, more or less, to Brett Halliday.
Yeah, by all means.
Now, Brett Halliday has been dead for, I think, like 40 years before this movie was even made. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't necessarily...
Like he had a direct...
Yeah, he wasn't directly impactful on this. But he does receive a partial writing credit because a lot of the story was based on Brett Halliday's story called Bodies Are Where You Find Them. Mm-hmm. It was a major inspiration for this movie. And Brett Halliday is the pen name used by author Davis Dresser, who was born in 1904. Mm-hmm. So he wrote a large series of detective novels back in like the 40s. They were typically referred to as the Michael Shane series. 12 of those books went on to be produced as movies by Fox and some other later production companies.
Says a lot about a writer's ability to write.
Yeah, I mean, it's no James Bond series, but it's damn close.
Yeah.
Right? So a few other things that I kind of want to mention just because I thought they were incredibly interesting. So Davis Dresser, Brett Halliday, when he was a boy, he lost an eye due to a mishap with some barbed wire.
Ugh.
So he wore an eye patch his entire life.
That's so cool.
So that's pretty crazy.
I think I'd wear an eye patch if I lost an eye.
Yeah, I might even do it just for fun. He also ran away from home at the age of 14. So a man who just wants to go out there and get it, I guess. And he did so many weird little odd jobs. He was a mule skinner, a farm hand.
Wait. It's giving me Big Fish vibes.
It is very Big Fishy, isn't
it? Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
In the way
it's really
that
cool.
He's just a 14-year-old and off on an adventure.
Yeah. All these odd jobs.
Yeah. A deckhand. He was in the cavalry for Texas.
What?
He worked in some California oil fields. He eventually went back to like the big city and went to engineering college where he got a certificate in civil engineering.
Awesome.
So he then worked as an engineer and something you might know a little something about, a surveyor.
He was?
He was.
Awesome.
Yeah. Before finally settling down and becoming an author.
Surveyors are smart people.
They certainly seem to be. Now, if only they can all sit down and write noir detective novels.
I think we'd do a good job.
Yeah, I think so. There's something about the surveying that really tweaks your brain
your brain that way.
But there's a lot of other things I could mention about his whole history as a publisher, and I'm just, this isn't the place for that. But he was, boy, when you talk about somebody who from a young age just started to experience life, there is Davis Dresser or Brett Halliday for you.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, no, I thought that was
what
pretty.
A neat guy.
Yeah, I when I was reading about him, I just didn't want to leave that out. I wonder
if they have a biography about him. He might be an interesting guy to write a biography about.
Somebody could make a really cool screenplay about his life, I'm sure.
I'm trademarking that.
Uh-oh. All right, get down to it.
Okay.
Let's see. Next year, we're going to...
2 chapters done, and then I'll put it down, never pick back up again.
That's about right. Then you sell it, and someone else can finish it.
Yeah, there you go.
Kind of the way...
I'll get it started, okay, guys?
The way Dumb and Dumber happened. All right, that wraps up our contributors to this film, unless you have anything else to really throw in there?
No.
Obviously, there's a whole other bunch of cast and crew and all that, but we don't want to make this entire episode just about that. So let's get into talking a little bit more about this film in particular. Let's talk about the acclaim on this film. So you want to start us off with Leia's legs, or do you have anything else?
I got legs.
Okay.
I got legs.
Let's talk about them legs.
So this movie got 5.39 legs.
Oh boy.
So not as many legs as some of the other movies we've talked about, but it did break its budget barely. So its budget was $15 million.
Right.
I get all this information from thenumbers.com, which is a website that has all of this information on it, because you're going to get varying information depending on what website you look at. So I just want to let everybody know where I got my information from. But this film grossed $4,235,837 in the U.S.
Okay.
And $16,829,464 worldwide, which means it only broke its budget by like $1 million and some change.
Yeah, that ain't much.
But I thought the interesting part was that 70% of its budget was grossed outside of the U.S.
Yeah, I know.
So
That's
it did
huge.
way better in other countries than it did here. And part of it was only on I think it was 169 screens.
Yeah, very few.
It did not
opening
reach
theaters.
enough screens to really get the acclaim that it deserved.
Yeah.
But it did get a standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival. And do you have any more information about that?
Yeah, so it was shown at the Cannes Film Festival in May 2005, and it was screened out of competition. So it wasn't there to be winning any awards. It was just there to be shown. And like you said, got standing ovation. So it got really big, acclaim just from
that alone.
Just from that alone. And then it got released in limited release in theaters in October of 2005, so just a few months later. But like you said, it started out in just very few theaters, not even the whole 160 some theaters at that point. It was far less. But every week it was getting enough appeal and recognition that it kept releasing wider and wider and wider.
Until it was done.
Until it hit in January, I think is when it peaked at the 164. And then that was just the end of it, unfortunately.
Was there any films that came out that competed with this film at the time? I didn't see any.
Thinking back on it, I mean, there were things like A History of Violence, Saw 2 would have been 2005, Serenity. I'm mentioning that just because I like that one a lot. It probably wasn't a big competition for this one.
Zorro.
Yeah, so I mean, there was definitely a lot.
Blood Rain. Yeah, there was a lot of other movies that kind of it competed with and clearly did not compete well with.
Right. Yeah, other things.
Which is unfortunate.
This film definitely should have grossed a lot more.
Yeah.
And you mentioned having a $15 million budget. Initially, it was only given $10 million.
It was.
But it went over.
Because they were so impressed with it. Yeah.
And the studio just said, okay, well, this actually is a good movie.
Yeah.
So fuck it, here's $5.
They were dubious of it, though, at first. Yeah. They didn't think it was going to be that great.
Yeah, it was,
so
it was
like,
one of those
give
questions.
You $10 million.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they were probably also apprehensive with a fresh off rehab Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they probably had their reservations.
Being careful what they're signing up for.
Well, and it was really cool, too, because I had read that in solidarity with Robert Downey Jr., having him been just out of rehab, Val Kilmer refused to take any alcohol during
Which I think is
filming.
a really good stand for, solidarity and that.
To support your coworker who is, just fresh off of struggling with all of
Which
that.
is it's interesting to me because everything I read about Val Kilmer, people say he's really hard to work with.
Sure,
he's not a nice guy.
I've heard that
he's
on many
difficult.
occasions,
He and Robert Downey Jr. got along really good. And Robert Downey Jr. says many times how wonderful it was to work with him and how much fun he had working with him. So they must have had a kindred, like a connection.
Some sort of extra connection.
Yeah, which I love. And you can see it in the movie. They play off each other
really
very well
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then on its initial release, it got mostly better than average reviews, pretty much all the way across the board. There were often particular mentions for Robert Downey Jr., Val Kilmer, and Michelle Monaghan for their performances and their on-screen chemistries. Obviously, we had just mentioned they seemed like they all get along really well on screen.
Yeah.
And I mean, for certain, they deserved call out for that. They all kind of nailed it together for sure.
Yeah. I will say some of the jokes don't hit like they probably did back in 2005.
Right, yeah.
There were some gay jokes. There were some female jokes that when I was watching, I was like, oh, I don't like that.
Yeah,
but
they do
back
make
in
you
2005,
cringe.
it was kind of funny.
Back in 2005, it was sort of the cultural norm. Aside from that, if you also throw it into the perspective of it being a noir, hard-boiled detective story, it still doesn't excuse it.
Yeah.
But you can see where maybe the instinct to have that stuff in the movie may have come from.
Yeah.
It also didn't win any awards.
It's so weird.
Or anything at all.
I feel like it should
just kind of flown right under the damn radar.
That's why, Robert Downey Jr. was so disappointed with the acclaim because I think we all, including him, thought this was a better film than it got credit for.
It absolutely deserved a lot more recognition.
Yeah.
It did show up on a few best of lists of that year, typically kind of toward the bottom-ish, but it did still show up on at least a few of those for some recognition, but no awards.
Yeah. So weird.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Okay, anything else on
acclaim?
Any more
No.
legs to run away with?
No.
All right. Well, let's talk. I've got just a few things to talk about, stuff kind of within the movie world itself. One thing that I found kind of interesting, there's a sequence when one of the criminals in this movie all have weird names. This one in particular, his name is...
In true noir fashion.
Yeah, of course. This guy's very Dick Tracy like.
Yeah.
This guy's name was Mr. Frying Pan.
Yeah.
So Mr. Frying Pan is there with one of his associates called Mr. Fire.
Okay.
And Harry. And Mr. Frying Pan at one point says...
Here we all are. Ike, Mike, and Mustard.
What the hell does that mean?
You know, I'm with him on this one, man. That's pretty fucking obscure.
Horseshit. I hear that all the time.
You do?
Yeah, sure.
Where, at the 1942 club?
And even in the film, the characters all react to him like, what the hell are you what?
I thought the same.
What does that mean at all? Ike, Mike, and Mustard were three sort of jokey characters that were in sort of the popular at the time lexicon of the world, culturally, like a cultural meme at the time, just a jokey meme, where it was sort of like the old thing, a rabbi, priest, and
pirate,
whatever, all walk into a bar. In this case, it's Ike, Mike, and Mustard, and then, you know, some ridiculous scenario. And typically, the Ike, Mike, Mustard jokes were very off color, so you wouldn't say them in
you wouldn't
polite
actually
company.
say them.
Which is why in the film, one of the guys, Mr. Fire, I think, reacts by saying, what are we at, like a 1942 club or something like that? Because, you know, that would be the place you'd find
those types of
jokes. Yeah. So, you know, I thought that was kind of an interesting little obscure set, not current day pulp culture reference, but yeah.
So Black actually screened a lot of 1960s detective classics, like Harper from 1966 and Point Blank from 1967.
Okay.
Before he drew his cast and crew for this film and, you know, while he was preparing for this film. So it makes sense that he may have gotten a lot of this
the kind
oldie,
of
tiny stuff from some of these old detective films that he had watched. He probably heard the same thing and went,
probably.
I gotta look that up, figure out what it is.
Right. Well, and I bet he's probably read a lot of the Michael Shane detective stories and all that as well. So yeah, I'm sure all that stuff is probably much more familiar to him than it is to most people. I bet he probably laughed his ass off when he included that in this film.
I'm sure he did. He thought that was the funniest joke, and everyone else is like, the hell is he talking about?
I'm
leaving it in. I don't care what anybody says.
I never knew what it was in reference to until I started looking into it for this. Anyway, there is kind of a fun little cameo in this just before we get too far away from our cast and crew. In the film, there's a few times you see this beer commercial for Gennaro's beer. And there's a really poorly...
I wouldn't have thought about at all.
Yeah, no, kind of just, it's there and then it's gone. Yeah. It's just part of the flow of the film. There's this poorly animated bear that at the end pops open a beer and you're like, what do I know? I'm just a bear.
I prefer Gennaro's, but what do I know? I'm a bear. I suck the heads off fish.
That is Lawrence Fishburne.
Get out.
Who plays the voice of that bear.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence Fishburne shows up simply to voice a bear in the commercial in the background.
He's pretty popular by that point, so that's a big cameo.
Just comes in to say
and we don't even know it.
3 words and then he's gone.
Right.
And doesn't even sound like him either. His voice is,
like
cartoony.
It's like the deer in Get Out.
The deer in Get Out with Jordan Peele. Exactly. And also, we were just talking about not long ago how maybe Shane Black had read a lot of the Mike Shea books. In this movie, the Johnny Gossamer books in this movie are a fictional detective series books, but they are based off of books by
Raymond
Chandler and Brett Halliday.
Yeah.
And Harmony is particularly obsessed with this character. And every now and again you can see the covers. Well, the covers were directly inspired and based off of covers that were made for Brett Halliday's a series of books. And then, of course, the way the movie is split up in chapters, that all kind of comes...
Yeah, each chapter is named after one of his books. He's got a lot of books, so
he does.
They had a lot of things to choose from.
There were so many.
And I didn't realize it because the chapters actually kind of pertain to what's going on. Like The Lady in the Water, I think, is one of them or something like that. They kind of have to do with what's going on in the movie. So I didn't realize they were books until I read that fact. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought they were just being clever.
I would like to know if Shane Black or whoever decided to chapterize the movie, if it was Shane Black, did he take those titles and then get inspiration for those titles?
Or vice versa.
Yeah,
I know. I was just thinking that too. I was wondering if he kind of structured the film around the titles of the books, or if the titles of the books just happened to sync there's up. So many of them, so they just happened to sync up.
Yeah, very interesting.
We'll never know. Shane Black, call us.
Yeah, no one will ever talk to him again. He's forever mute.
Oh, is he?
No.
Oh. I was like, well, I'm missing something.
Yeah, no, just being stupid.
And no one will talk to him again.
Yeah, just like no one will ever talk to me again now.
No, that's possible.
Well, all right.
So, there's a scene in the movie where Robert Downey Jr. is being assaulted. He's tied to a chair.
Yeah.
I think he's tied to a chair with handcuffs or something. Yep. Originally, they used duct tape. They thought it looked stupid, so they had to redo it because it just didn't look right.
Yeah.
So they used handcuffs, I think, instead.
I mean, duct tape is really good at what it does.
It makes sense.
But if you want to restrain somebody to something, probably handcuffs is better.
I think I used like some kind of handcuff.
Yeah.
But in order to get him to wince in pain, they actually had one of Shane Black's assistants crouching off camera and jabbing him in the kidneys.
Oh.
So the pain sounds that he's making is actually because somebody is poking him in the side really hard with their fingers.
Yeah, is that the scene where he's getting shocked in the testicles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got to try to, it's probably not close enough, but it's closer.
It's probably close. Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah. He didn't fake that. That was real pain. Just not testicle pain.
Yeah, not
so
testicle
don't worry.
pain.
It wasn't testicle pain, guys.
No, but now I'm feeling pain in both areas. In the testicles and the kidneys. Yeesh. So, anyway.
It's when the scenes get real. You know, some of these really funny, but then that scene's not so funny.
No, that one's, I mean.
It is.
That one does have its funny moments, though.
It does, because they're like making fun of him touching his balls. And looking at his penis.
They're making fun of the torturer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gay Perry's making fun
of
him.
Gay Perry especially.
You just want to look at my junk, don't you?
Which almost seems to rev up the torturer more to continue to torture
poor Robert Downey Jr.'s character. Yeah. Poor Harry.
Harry, yeah. All right. Well, what else have we got to talk about here?
So that I do have another
you've got a few more
scene
things.
that I thought was one of the funnier scenes.
Okay.
And then reading a little bit of information about it, I thought it was even funnier.
Uh-oh. All right.
But there's a scene where they're in a bar and they're making fun of people. It's Harry and Harmony. Yeah, and they're in the bar and he's hitting on her.
Right.
Trying to hit on her. Which is working after he starts doing this. And what he's doing is he's going around and saying, look, there's a bald Kevin Costner.
Right, yeah.
Black Patrick Swayze. And that was what they had written in the original screenplay as placeholders.
Oh, sure, yeah. I suppose finding people that fit those exact
specific things
might have been tough.
So in order to get those things to come out, they were sort of scripted, but not really. They brought out all of the extras that they had for the scene.
Okay.
And then they had Robert Downey Jr. and Harmony.
Oh, Michelle Monaghan. Look at all of these actors and come up with things to say about them. Ways that they resemble.
Yeah. So then during that scene, those were the things they came up with themselves to say about these people.
That's pretty good.
Which may be why the laughter seems so genuine. Yeah. Between the two of them, they were laughing their butts off.
Well, especially since at that point it's an in-joke for them.
It is an in-joke for them. So the placeholders I thought was funny. Bald Kevin Costner and Black Patrick Swayze. When they were saying it though, I was laughing so hard. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's pretty accurate, actually. I should have wrote down what he said. They were the ones he actually said because they were funny.
Punk rock Steven Seagal thinks it's special.
Yeah,
You'll have to watch the movie to
go
get
check
those.
it out.
Yeah.
This is your chance. Go see the movie.
Too bad so sad I'm not telling you what they are. Do you have anything else, Brian?
Yeah, I have just like another one or two things here real quick before we wrap things for the day. So there is, I think it's about midway-ish through the movie, Harry arrives at a party, and as he's walking through the crowd, on the very left-hand side, kind of bathed in a red light, is a statue.
I know where you're going with this. I read about this.
Yeah, well, why don't you go ahead and fill
No, I didn't write it down.
Okay,
I just read about it, so you continue.
The statue, to the very keen-eyed observer, will notice that it is clearly exactly the statue of Pazuzu from The Exorcist, which I thought was great. Pazuzu.
So random.
Yeah. There's really no reason for that statue to be there. I think it's simply just there because Shane Black really likes The Exorcist. So that is, I think, the sole purpose of that statue being there. Just his own little hidden Easter egg that I'm sure he probably loved.
He seems to have a few of those. Where he'd only get it. Nobody else is going to really get it at first.
You know, if you're making a movie and you have the space and latitude to include your own little Easter eggs that are going to entertain you all the way to the bank,
we love it. We're here for it.
Yeah, that makes it that much more fun for other people watching the film to find these little things.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was reading about who else they considered for some of these roles.
Okay, who?
And they considered
Kevin Costner?
Yeah. Benicio del Toro, Hugh Grant, and Johnny Knoxville, of all people, for Robert Downey Jr.'s character for Harry. Those are all considerations. And then Harrison Ford was actually considered for Val Kilmer's role as Gay Perry. He was. I think he ended up doing something else and wasn't able to do it. Same with Johnny Knoxville. He was doing something else and wasn't able to do it.
Probably for the best.
Yeah. But then, Robert Downey Jr. ended up, he was just out of prison. He was having a hard time. And he only ended up actually finding out about this role from his then girlfriend. Her name is Susan Levin. I believe they're married now.
They are, yeah.
But she was Joe Silver's assistant. And Joe Silver is the guy who bought his first screenplay for Lethal Weapon. So he's the guy who decided to produce Shane Black's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, since he's also who bought screenplays for Lethal Weapon and for Last Boy Scout. He bought Last Boy Scout too.
Wow. Okay, really liked Shane Black's stuff then.
Yeah. So the only reason he found out about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was because his wife was the assistant to the guy who bought his screenplays.
Wow.
It just all came together.
Yeah. Yes. Like you said before, don't burn those bridges.
Don't
man.
burn them.
You never know what's going to turn into a thing for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's all I have.
All right.
On Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
I've got one more thing, and then I've got two small little spoiler bits.
All right.
So the last thing I want to mention is we had talked earlier about the title of the movie and how that came about.
Yeah.
There's two other ways that title is relevant. Maybe they're direct inspirations for the title that Val Kilmer had come across. Maybe it's just...
Yeah, I'm not really sure what came before
who
the chicken
hell
and the
knows?
egg at this point, but...
Regardless, on the soundtrack to the 1965 movie Thunderball, James Bond film, on the soundtrack, there is a song titled Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That title is literally a connection there. Whether or not that's where the inspiration came from or just maybe passively Val Kilmer had... I'm sure Val Kilmer probably knew the title at some point, and maybe he had just gotten the thought from that.
Well, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is actually a title that shows up in 1960s overseas slang for spy movies.
Yeah.
And it's especially Bond movies, which makes sense. So I don't know if that song come out before the Bond movies did, or did it come out around the same time as the Bond movies?
That one was made for Thunderball.
Oh, okay. Yep. All right. So that makes sense then. So, but it was more of an overseas slang for spy movies. It wasn't really something we used here.
Yeah, real big in Japan especially, and I think some parts of Europe as well, right? Yeah, but for some reason just didn't catch on here, but around the world.
We're working on it.
We're a little island over
now.
here, I guess.
It's going to catch on now.
Yeah, right now. From this point forward.
From this point forward, you guys know.
When we talk about a James Bond movie or
we say Kiss Kiss Bang Bang,
thriller,
you know what we mean.
Yep.
Also, the title of a 1966 spy comedy made in Spain is also called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Is it really?
Yeah. So there you go.
We didn't watch the wrong one, did we?
No.
We intended to do this one? Okay.
It was made in Spain and directed by another country.
Huh.
And I have never seen it, never heard of it. I don't know. I've heard of it.
Oh, of course,
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Lots of things Kiss Kiss Bang Bang has been known for before, just we aren't real aware of it here in the States.
Yeah.
We're behind the times.
Maybe that's why this movie just kept flying under the radar is
it's possible.
As soon as Americans hear the words Kiss Kiss Bang Bang in sequence, we just stopped listening.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of stop listening.
Stop listening.
We're going to go right here.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. We're going to throw in just a real quick little spoiler snippet, and then we will kick everybody out. So
there's a waiting room. We made one.
Yeah.
It's got some, cocoa.
Yeah, cocoa
mushrooms.
Sure, mushrooms. Why not?
Marshmallows is what I meant to say.
And mushrooms.
We can make you some mushrooms too if you like. I like a good mushroom.
For those who don't like marshmallows, we have the mushroom option.
Mushroom option for your cocoa. And there's some cookies in there. So
of course, yeah.
Step aside into this room, soundproof.
It's December. We don't want to kick you out into the snow and the cold.
No.
So enjoy the cocoa and marshmallows and mushrooms. And then come on back in here to finish out the rest.
Yes.
All right. I think that's been enough time.
Yep.
This is bad, Perry. We got to go. We got to roll out of here before the cops come.
I think they're all gone. I locked them in, too.
Good. That'll teach them. Why don't you do like in most horror films where they bar the doors?
Nah.
Go throw like a broomstick or something in there. They'll never get out.
They'll never get out.
Hope they enjoy cocoa.
And mushrooms.
And mushrooms. The marshmallows will go fast.
Yeah.
Throughout the film, you can hear Gay Perry's phone ring. And when you hear the ringtone, it is...
Is it Staying Alive?
It's not Staying Alive. Close. It's I Will Survive.
I Will Survive.
One is by the Bee Gees. The other is by Gloria Gaynor.
That's true. My bad.
That's all right. I almost
You almost thought I was right, didn't you?
For a minute,
I
yes.
almost convinced you.
So that ringtone is appropriate given the fact that toward the end of the film, Perry ends up in a situation where, to the viewer, it looks like he dies.
He may have died. I mean, we don't know at that point.
But cut a little bit later, he's alive again.
Of course he is.
So
he's a badass.
I will survive.
Hey, hey.
That's right. That's the one. One more quick little reference to the fact that Perry doesn't die. The whole fact that he doesn't may be Shane Black's way. In fact, probably almost is if you look at the narration surrounding the event. When Harry mentions Perry being alive when he's in the hospital.
In movies where the studio gets all paranoid about a downer ending, so like the guy shows up, he's magically alive on crutches. I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
And the studio insists that you not kill a character.
Think this is what happened?
I think it is because in Lethal Weapon 2, the script that Shane Black wrote, Mel Gibson's character Riggs was supposed to die. The studio didn't like that. So they said, nope, you can't kill him. He does not die. He's now alive. So Shane Black had to change the script to leave Riggs alive.
Do you think he did that on purpose then for Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, or do you think the studio just made him do it?
No, I think
he did it on purpose
as
an homage to
as a
that
sort
legacy.
Of, yeah, as a sort of a thumbing to the studio, being like, okay, I think it's his way of saying, I wanted to kill Riggs. Studio didn't want me to.
So surprise, here he is. How weird is this?
Yeah,
It's
so
kind of
surprise,
weird, isn't
now
it?
I'm making fun of this whole thing. So,
I like that jab.
Yeah,
That's
I thought
good.
that was pretty cool too. Yeah. So yeah, with the FU to the studio there, Leia, do you think we're wrapping stuff up here?
Yeah, I think we had a great conversation today. It was fun, informative, and a fantastic adventure on top of all of that.
You're right.
Yeah, when we Gay Perry,
Yeah.
Harry,
Oh boy, did
you
we.
know,
We met some great
shenanigans.
characters,
Yeah.
yes.
I think it's time to close up the lobby for this week. What do you say?
Fully agree. Let's let the people out of the spoiler room real quick.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the hour is getting late.
Okay. You can come out now.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, there you go. No, oh, that's right. Hold on.
Oh yeah, unlock.
All right, now you can come out.
There we go.
Come on out.
Yeah,
Sorry about that. Forgot that the broom was in the
Yeah.
handle.
Yeah, that was impromptu. I shouldn't have suggested
Shouldn't have
that.
suggested that.
Oh,
That was a
man.
bad decision.
All right. Well, as our friends kind of walk past us here to just listen to what we got to say. Oh, hey, excuse me, sir. Wow, Leia, how rude was that guy? He just ran into me
rude.
and he pushed this. Oh, I got this manila folder in my hand. Hey, okay, Leia, look at this.
Oh, B. This is an entire dossier and profile about a murder victim and its suspects.
Right.
It also says the stoolie gave up the goods, and now it's up to you to ankle on over and catch the button man before he can make a clean sneak.
Yeah.
Go to... Wait, let's not broadcast the rest of this. We got to go, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I am not going to miss this opportunity. This is fantasy come to life. So come on, partner. Let's crack this case. Before we go, though, maybe we should tell people to check out the movie theater lobby, themovietheaterlobby.com. Check out the movie theater lobby on Facebook and YouTube. We have some cool stuff over on YouTube that we don't have up on the podcast feed. But also check out the movie lobby on Instagram because of the whole blah, blah, blah long name thing. Or don't forget to email us at themovietheaterlobby@gmail.com. And if you really want to, you can contact me, Brandon McLeavy, on Facebook. Just look for that name. And over on Instagram at BrandJNRP. And Leia, how about you?
Oh, you can find me at LM Nerd Room on all the previous mentioned things.
Yeah, you made yours easy.
I did.
I didn't make mine easy.
And lmnerdroom@gmail.com if you want to give me an email.
Oh, yeah.
You can give us some ratings, reviews. Please subscribe anywhere and everywhere you listen to us.
Right. Yes, please.
You can use that. You can utilize our website to find where all of our podcast locations are.
Right.
And you can rate all of those as well if you want.
You don't have to stop at one.
No.
You can
listen
rate
to
them all. You can
even just not listen to them. You could just rate them
just
up.
rate them. That's cool,
up.
too.
Listen to one of them, though, at least.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, I mean,
the actual listen does help.
it does help, yeah. Help us grow. Enable us to do more by spreading our little podcast around.
Yeah. Tell your friends, family, coworkers, people on the street even.
Yeah. Be like, this podcast that you're listening to.
Check out this thing.
It won't be weird, I promise.
Well, maybe at first, but after that, it'll get real easy.
It'll get easy.
All right, Leia, let's go crack this case. Let's shut down the lobby. And of course, thanks to everyone for listening and giving us your ever so precious time and attention. And I can never leave here without saying thank you, Leia.
And I can never leave without saying thank you, Brandon.
And we'll see you all next week at
the movie theater lobby.
Friendship is
What are you doing?
Is sacred. I'm just trying to wrap up the movie and leave the people with a message.
And I've got a message for you.
Right.
Get your feet off my fucking desk.
Sorry. I work for Perry now.
And stop narrating.
Arthur,
That's it. Please stay for the end credits. If you're wondering who the best boy is, it's someone's nephew.
Don't forget to validate your parking. And for all of you good people in the Midwest, I'm sorry we said fuck so much. Say goodnight.
Thanks again.
Now go. Vanish.